Hi YouTube, it's Emily. I thought I would do another quick video today to just answer probably the most common question that I get asked, which is, what do I feed my goldfish? So it's just going to be a quick run through of what I feed, what I've fed in the past, what I like, what I don't like, and yeah, so I hope it's helpful for some of you guys to see that and enjoy. Also, I apologize for all the bird noise like that. Those are my lovebirds and they don't understand how to be quiet ever. So I apologize. All right, so I guess we'll start with pelleted foods. The first one that I have is this just API goldfish sinking pellets. And when I first started keeping goldfish, this is basically the only thing that I fed them, which I don't necessarily recommend, but it is one of the few sinking pellets that you can find at basically your Petco PetSmart thing. So that's why I chose it initially. I mean, I didn't see very good growth of my goldfish when I was on it, but I also had really poor water quality at that point. So it's not a bad food, but it is not what I use anymore. I don't really feed this at all anymore. But like I said, it is available at PetSmart and it is a sinking pellet, so it's not the worst thing you could choose. Then after that, I switched to Hikari Lionhead pellets. Hikari makes multiple different varieties of goldfish pellets. I chose the Lionhead one partially because it was in the store and partially because it's supposed to promote wen growth, and I have pretty much only wenned fish, so that's why I chose this one. Hikari, I do recommend their pellets. They are very good quality pellets, and up until about 2 weeks ago, this was pretty much the only pelleted food that I fed. And then 2 weeks ago, I added something new in. So I do still like this pellet. I will still probably mix it in and feed it. So Hikari makes very good pelleted foods. What I am feeding now, as of 2 weeks ago, are New Life Spectrum's pelleted foods. They do make a specific goldfish variety. I don't have that, but you know, they do make one out there. So the two varieties that I use are Algae Max and Thera Plus A. I usually mix both of these together, and I found them to be really good. The interesting thing that I've found actually with feeding these is my swim bladder fish have been a little bit less affected by these pellets than the Hikari or other pellets that I've used in the past. So I'm not sure particularly why that is, but it is kind of nice, so it may be something to check out. The Algae Max is completely herbivorous, so it doesn't contain animal protein, which is good. And then the Thera A has garlic, which is supposed to be a natural sort of anti-parasitic, immune boosting diet. So I do really like both of these pellets. I do recommend them. I am still feeding them, and it's pretty much what I'm feeding as a staple these days, along with my gel food. So New Life Spectrum pellets, very good. Multiple varieties, very good too. I feed their beta fish pellets to my beta fish. And yeah, I really like them, so recommend those. And I guess that's all. Well, I'll put this in the pelleted form. So these are just cichlid pellets. I think they were in the like dollar clearance section at Petco. I do like to mix up my yeah, $1.20, that's what the price tag says. I do like to mix up my goldfish's diet, so sometimes I will throw in some different fish varieties of food, so you can use other varieties of fish food in your goldfish. So sometimes I throw in these cichlid pellets just because I don't use it as a staple, just as sort of like a treat every once in a while. The other pelleted kind of food that I have is these pond sticks. So this is like for your pond goldfish. Again, I don't use this as a staple of their diet. I use it only sparingly and randomly, and mostly because the main ingredient is like corn and wheat, and I don't generally like to feed foods that, you know, the top ingredient is not something that they would naturally find in their environment. So no goldfish is out in the wild eating corn, so I don't tend to feed this very much, but every once in a while as a treat, can't hurt. The other sort of stick food that I'll give occasionally is the Hikari carnivore food sticks. These are high protein, supposed to be used for like meat eating only fish, so I don't use them very often in my adult goldfish. Use them a little bit more in my younger goldfish that are growing, but again, I don't use this very frequently, just sort of as a sporadic random add-in. They do really love them though, like my fish go crazy for these things, so they must taste good because they love them. But like I said, don't use them too often because they are very high in protein, and you know, goldfish aren't necessarily a protein eating fish. So that's that. Other treat, I guess, these little tank nibbler things. I use them randomly. They make for good pictures if you like that. They, you know, come up to the glass and you can see them eating them, and they're kind of cute, but I don't think they actually have very much nutritional value at all. So that's that. Then I guess we'll move on to gel food. So the gel food that I use most often is Repashy. I love this gel food. I've heard only good things about it. I use it all the time. They get it every single day. And gel food's really good for fish with swim bladder disease. It's really good, you know, for your goldfish, basically. I don't know, I just love it. So I feed it pretty much most often. Most commonly, I will use the Soylent Green variety. Repashy used to be sold only in these bags. But they've recently switched over to tub form, so it's the same product, it's just in different packaging. So the Soylent Green is the one that I feed most often, but sometimes, especially for my older fish, I will mix in Super Green, which is less protein, more plant content. So sometimes I'll do a 50-50 mixture of the Soylent Green and the Super Green together. Sometimes I'll just use the Soylent Green. But yeah, both of those are good for your goldfish. Then I also have the Repashy Spawn and Grow little one for my fry, and I do mix that in and feed it occasionally to my growing fry babies. It is high in fat and high in protein, so it is not a good diet for long-term use, but it is, as for really, you know, fast-growing little fish, it's good. And so for my fry right now, I'm feeding them probably like 50% Repashy Soylent Green, and then like 25% of this and 25% of frozen protein foods, which I'm going to go into next. So I love Repashy as a brand. I love them. They're my favorite gel food. So now we'll go into frozen foods. So frozen foods, mostly what I feed is frozen brine shrimp. Here I have like a whole in sheet form, just because I'm feeding it a lot to my younger fry, so I buy it in kind of bulk. But they do come in these little like ice cube tray varieties, brine shrimp and bloodworms. I probably feed these about every other day, every 2 days, something like that. For my baby fry, it's probably more like once a day to once every other day, depending on my work schedule. But they, like bloodworms, goldfish go like ape shit for, so definitely try to get the frozen ones, or live ones if you can come across them are great, but I don't know where you get live bloodworms. The things you want to stay away from are the freeze-dried bloodworms. So basically when you freeze dry any sort of protein food, so like the little shrimp they sell freeze-dried, or the bloodworms, when you, through that freeze-drying process, you take away a lot of the nutrients in the food. So it's basically like takes away all the benefits of it. So you're basically feeding like a little crispy potato chip instead of like a good potato. So I just don't recommend them. They also have a lot of air trapped in them. So for fish that are predisposed to having swim bladder problems, they're going to make that worse, and there's basically no benefit to it nutritionally. So definitely get the frozen ones or live ones. Like I said, you can get both of these things at PetSmart. They're usually in like a little fridge or freezer next to the tanks. They're pretty cheap and they're great, and they last forever because you just freeze them. And yeah, so that's frozen protein foods. And then I feed frozen vegetables. So I feed mostly frozen peas if I'm going to feed a veggie. I don't feed them vegetables very often because I'm feeding the gel food. The Rapachi's gel food has a lot of plant content in it already, so I don't generally add much vegetables, not much like frozen vegetables on top of that. But every once in a while I will, and if I think my fish are constipated, I'll add in some more vegetable to them. So green peas are great. If you need to make sure to steam them or blanch them beforehand, what I do to make my peas is I basically I wet a paper towel, I wrap a little small amount of peas in there, and I wrap it all up and stick it in the microwave for 30 seconds. That steams the peas, and then you can shell them. You need to take the little outer layer of skin off of the peas before you feed them, and then you can just drop them in their tank. So that's peas. I also feed some green beans. Oops, this bag is open. Get back in there. So cut green beans, same thing, steam them before you give them. And for these I cut them up into pretty small pieces because they are pretty big. So cut them up good so that they are like mouthful size for your fish. So then you have fresh foods, which I don't have a lot right now just because I need to go grocery shopping, but baby spinach or romaine lettuce is good. Basically you don't want to do the same thing, so I wrap it in like a little wet paper towel and put it in the microwave for 30 seconds, and that steams it or whatever so that the fish can eat it. Attach it to like a little veggie clip and put it in the tank. Other things that you can use are kale, zucchini, pretty much a lot of vegetables are good. Yeah, so those are good. Fruits, they will eat, but I don't really ever feed them to my fish. They're high in sugar, and so if you're going to feed a fresh food, a vegetable is a better choice. So try to stay away from fruits, but like once a year maybe or something as like a little treat. Sure, not going to kill them, but not generally something that you want to feed every day. Same with things like carbs, rice, that sort of stuff. Some people will feed them steamed rice. I generally don't recommend that just because it's a big carbo load, and it's basically just sugar. So it's not really providing them very many nutrients at all. Other things that you can feed that I don't have right now, seaweed sheets, like the dried seaweed that you make sushi with is good. You can attach that to a veggie clip. They really like that. I'll do that sometimes. What else would I give? I guess that's it. That's what I feed my fish. My fish generally eat better than I do, but that's what you do for love, I guess. So yeah, so I hope that was helpful. If you guys have any questions or comments about any of the foods or where I get them, that sort of thing, just leave them below. And yeah, thanks for watching.